With the NBA trade deadline ending last Thursday, we are starting to notice some familiar faces on different teams. Just hours before the deadline came to an end, a lot of rumors were circulating, particularly around 6-time NBA All-Star Kyle Lowry. Let's take a moment to break down the major names and major moves. After putting on a show versus the Nets with a 38-point outing a few games ago, the Orlando Magic traded Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark to the Denver Nuggets for RJ Hampton, Gary Harris, and future first-round picks. Aaron Gordon has proven to still be able to ball, but the Denver Nuggets might have just added the most petty player in the NBA to their roster. After choosing quite a random number to most, the media asked Aaron Gordon why he picked the number 50, and the answer is kind of hilarious.
So, Reg, if he does this dunk, he should have won. Yes. Time out, Reg. If you jump over Taco the second time. If you jump over Taco, you
Celtics, Taco Fall, who is 7'5".
You dunk over Taco, you win.
What's taking so long, man? This is easy, right?
Well, they're all looking at each other's scores, too.
Man, this is easy. Oh, my goodness.
My only question to you is, what's up with the number, bro? Why you wearing number 50?
I mean, it spoke to me, man. You know, I got the most 50s ever in the dunk contest. It's a good number for me, man. I feel like it's strong, it's powerful, and it just spoke to me, man. I'm rocking with it.
It looked good on you.
I appreciate that, D-Way.
I think he just took Kevin Durant's petty crown. Regardless, Aaron Gordon helps solidify an already great all-around team, and with the Nuggets trading away first-round picks, they are for sure in a win-now mentality. This trade seems fair for both sides since Aaron Gordon requested a trade and the Magic have gone into full rebuilding mode. RJ Hampton has shown some positive signs in his first few games with the Magic and has already begun to improve his scoring and rebounding abilities. He has the potential to be an excellent role player around the Magic's young core, and with consistent training, the sky is always the limit. I'd give this trade an A- because both sides got something good in return. Perhaps the most reported on player on the trade deadline was none other than Kyle Lowry. The Raptors were trading away players to create some extra roster spots, so it was looking like a trade for Lowry was inevitable. Rumors around the Los Angeles Lakers and Miami Heat as the frontrunners were escalating, and it seemed like it was a matter of time before we saw Lowry in a new uniform. Brian Windhorst, a sports writer for ESPN, reported that the Lakers offered Dennis Schroeder, Wesley Matthews, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for Kyle Lowry. The Heat were offering Duncan Robinson in a package that wasn't fully known, but was rumored to be around young center Precious Achiuwa. However, at the end of the deadline, it was revealed that the Raptors were unwilling to part ways with Lowry unless the Lakers also gave up Talen Horton-Tucker or unless the Heat included Tyler Hero in their deal. The Lakers refused to give up Horton-Tucker as it would almost diminish any future the Lakers would have after this LeBron-AD era. As for the Heat, they refused to give up Hero, who they see as a key piece in a potential finals run this year and in the franchise's future. The build-up to a Kyle Lowry trade was getting bigger and bigger, so as you could expect, many fans of the NBA community were disappointed when nothing was done. However, many Raptors fans are still happy to have him on the team, after all he has done with him so far in his career. With Lowry being a free agent this summer, many fans and analysts are expecting the Raptors to perform a sign and trade with Lowry, similar to what the Nets and Warriors did with D'Angelo Russell in 2019. Even though no megastar like LeBron James or Steph Curry has moved, there is a superstar who has found himself with a new home right before the deadline. Nikola Vucevic, who was drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers, spent most of his career either sitting just outside the playoffs or being the last team to secure a seat to the big game. He has had an illustrious career on an individual standpoint, but he doesn't seem to be getting the recognition he deserves. Although he knows he keeps progressing and competing at the highest level, his team just can't get their act right. With no serious progress being made in Orlando, it seems to be that there was a mutual agreement between the All-Star center and the team to part ways before the trade deadline. No one had a clue where he would end up. The Chicago Bulls finalized a deal that would give away Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and 2 first-round picks in return for Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu. With the deadline only hours away from expiring, the Magic managed to ship away Vucevic with a good return, so this was a fairly equal trade for both sides. Magic get a young piece in Wendell Carter Jr., who has shown flashes of his potential, and they also get 2 unprotected first-round picks in 2021 and 2023, which could help them draft some players to build around Fultz, Carter, and Jonathan Isaac. Orlando seems to be set for the future and are in full rebuilding mode now. Since Chicago traded away their younger assets, it's fair to say they are in a win-now mentality. With Zach LaVine getting another All-Star caliber player to join him, the Bulls are now hoping to make a push in the playoffs. In my opinion, I still think they need a few more pieces to become a contender in the league, but with this trade for Vucevic, they are trending in the right direction. I'd give this trade an A since both teams got key pieces. Norman Powell is averaging 19.1 points on the season, and so many teams that were looking to fill in some missing pieces were definitely making the hotline bling. The Portland Trailblazers, who are led by the lethal duo of Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, needed one more piece to push them over the boundary. Norman Powell adds some incredible defense to go alongside Derrick Jones Jr., and with 19 points per game, can add scoring when needed. What might be the most important part about this trade is that the Blazers get to acquire a 27-year-old NBA champion who is now entering his prime. The Raptors in return get a lethal shooter who gives Van Vliet vibes, Gary Trent Jr., and they also get Rodney Hood, who is an underrated scorer. Gary Trent Jr. is averaging 15 points per game at only 22 years old and provides some security for the future of the Raptors. Norman Powell, on the other hand, helps the Blazers on what may be one of their last serious championship pushes. This trade does seem fair for both sides, however it is a little confusing considering what I am going to talk about next. Grading this trade, I'd say it's a B+ since Trailblazers get a player to help them now, and Raptors get a player for the inevitable rebuild. The Orlando Magic went on full rebuild mode mid-season with the Vucevic trade, but this isn't the only trade they were able to complete before the deadline. Aaron Gordon and some others were also shipped out of Florida. With most players out, it just seemed like a matter of time before Fournier was traded as well. The Boston Celtics emerged as a frontrunner for the 9-year guard, and eventually traded away Jeff Teague and 2 future second-round picks in return for the savvy scorer. Even though Fournier had a historically bad game in his first game with the Celtics, he managed to bounce back and return to his usual bucket-getting ways. Now this trade sparked many outbursts in the NBA community. The Magic got virtually nothing in return, especially after waiving the only player they got back in the deal, Jeff Teague. They still have 2 second-round picks, but as history shows, it's not likely they will get long-term players out of it. The Celtics, on the other hand, get an excellent score to provide some help for a struggling team. Boston currently stands as the 8th seed, and as we all know, that's unlike the Boston Celtics we've grown accustomed to in recent years. Perhaps the reason for this were injuries, but regardless, the addition of Fournier catapults them into a dark horse contender once again. For this trade, I'd have to give it a D- since all they have now from that trade are 2 second-round picks. In a last-minute deal, the Houston Rockets shipped away Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a 2022 draft pick swap. This was one of the more confusing trades because Houston doesn't really get anything in return to help the rebuild, and they also get rid of an elite baller. The most logical reason for the trade would be that Victor Oladipo is an unrestricted free agent this summer, and the management most probably got the feeling that Oladipo wasn't searching for a home in Houston. This was most likely the best trade they got with the amount of time they had to work out a deal, but it still doesn't feel justified with the amount of talent they gave away. On the other hand, the winners of this trade, the Miami Heat, get to strengthen their roster after just coming off an unexpected yet incredible finals loss last year. Adding Oladipo to the arsenal is a sign that they really do believe they are here to stay. Miami's already elite defense becomes even better, and if Dragic is fully healthy in the playoffs, we could see the Heat play competitively against powerhouse teams like the Sixers, Bucks, and maybe even the Nets. But I don't know if there's any team that's ready to beat the Nets. If I were to grade this trade, I'd give it a C since they had to ship Oladipo out and they did manage to get some players in return. Anyways, we'd like to know what you guys think about these trades, so let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel out, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.